leadership is about who you be, who you are. It's authenticity, it's vulnerability, it's the human parts of us.
Yeah.
We all are leaders. Even though we may not have a position, we're leaders because somebody is under your influence and
Yep.
under your impact.
Welcome back to another episode of Business Vibes Only. I'm your host and founder of Just Mind Your Biz, Martika Lee. I have a special guest with me today. I have Dr. Lacrecia Dangerfield. She is a licensed professional counselor and leadership wellness consultant. She's also the founder of Reimprint Your Life. Thank you so very much for being on my podcast today. She puts up with a lot from me, y'all. And she's also my cousin. So I'm really appreciative of you being here today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So tell us what you do and what Reimprint Your Life is all about.
Oh, like we were talking before the cameras came on.
Yeah.
I do a lot, but it all has a core base. And it really is around helping people heal, grow, and lead. And so as a licensed professional counselor, I do counseling for other leaders, other mental health professionals, and other and ministry leaders, because those are two professions that help other people heal in their mind, their soul, and their spirit, but who holds space for them. And then I do coaching. I coach other counselors who want to really have their own business so they can develop their own practices and to kind of show up and be who they are.
What you said, I haven't heard anybody phrase it that way. Who holds space for them, right? Yeah. They're leading and coaching other individuals, but they also need that same guidance. That's a great space. Okay, so what inspired you to focus on leadership development as a core part of what you do?
I'll tell you, I've had some really sucky leaders. to be honest, I've had some people that have been in leadership spaces that I'm like,
how you get here?
Yeah, how you lead? But then I also realized that they are leading out of their own wounds. They are hurt leaders, and so they're hurting other people.
Yep.
And so really I was called into it. I was working in a non-for-profit mental health company, and I was in a leadership position. I was the program director, and the counselors would come to me, other leaders in the company would come to me, and they would talk about the woes of being a leader, helping other people to grow. And one day I was like, man, who holds space for these people? And in my spirit it was like, you are.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm leading. I've always been a leader. I actually can say that. Growing up in the church, didn't have a choice but to be over certain ministries and doing certain things. But leadership has always been something that I've been called to.
Okay.
I didn't look to be a leader. Leadership was like, girl, come on, this is what you do. And so part of my leadership, I found that I'm a safe person for other people. And so bringing leadership, mental health, spirituality all together, that's what has formed Reimprint Your Life.
But that's a rare thing because in my experience, I've been around a lot of leaders that have the skills and the capability to do whatever it is, whatever the task is, right? But not to be a safe person. They're not the person you can come to for anything, right? It backfires on you because you're thinking, this is my leader. They're going to advise me. They're going to give me some type of guidance. And instead, it turns out to cause conflict, right? So I'm glad that you said that because that's a characteristic of leadership that people don't think about. Or I guess what I'm trying to say is we focus on the qualifications.
You said it.
The capability of doing the work.
Yes.
And not being
you just said it.
Yeah.
Not being the leader.
Exactly.
It's not, leadership is not really about the task or the position. Leadership is about who you be, who you are. It's authenticity, it's vulnerability, it's the human parts of us.
Yeah.
We all are leaders. Even though we may not have a position, we're leaders because somebody is under your influence and under your impact.
That's true.
They see what you're doing. They're following you, whether good, bad, indifferent.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you're hurting and wounded in your leadership, you hurting and wounding other people, and then they say, "Oh, that's how I'm supposed to lead." So either they're and they start hurting and wounding other people. Because hurt people. Hurt people.
Yeah. That is okay. So give me some definitions and characteristics of leadership and why it's crucial within entrepreneurship and small business.
Oh, if you are an entrepreneur, you are a leader.
Right.
You're running a business, you've taken a risk, but you have to have these skills. Number one, showing up authentic in who you are. A lot of times people hide behind the titles or hide behind the business. They don't show the transparency in who they are. It's about ethics, integrity. You have to have integrity. If the way you live your life is probably the way you run your business.
That's the hard part with business because business, social media and all of this will have you trading your integrity just for the success and to have this look of leadership. And you'll sacrifice all of your morals and your values just to achieve that.
And or burn yourself out running and chasing after it.
True.
And then you're like running around, running on empty. And then you lead on empty. And then people are feeling they experience the residue of it.
Yeah, see, that's good stuff. I've been waiting for this conversation. This is good stuff.
They live out the residue, and we see it play. We see it play out in culture every day.
Yeah,
you see somebody on top. They were that it person that everybody was following, and then all of a sudden it goes dark.
Yep.
And you like, what happened?
Yep. We were talking to Tasha about that yesterday. Our cousin Tasha. And we were having a conversation about a podcast group that she watches and how in one moment they did an interview with a person that said something, that threw it off, that he said something very controversial.
Yes.
And their response to it, well, I would say lack of response of saying like, hey, that's uncalled for. We don't allow it. Saying like setting a boundary. Now they're following their viewership and all of that is down.
Yes.
But that within itself is leadership. And they probably wouldn't see it that way. But when because
they don't see themselves as leaders.
As leaders, right.
Yeah.
Because you have this platform and you have this following and you have this impact. And people don't connect that to leadership.
That's what it is. Leadership is impact and influence.
But you have to understand that if they admit that they have impact and influence and they call themselves a leader, there's responsibility
and
that
people
comes
don't
to
want
leaders.
The responsibility
and
not only the responsibility but the accountability.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why it's like, I didn't ask you to follow me.
Right. And I can't control what somebody says, but you also have a responsibility and accountability to the people that follow you.
Exactly. And that's what I want us to focus on more is leadership. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you were talking about leadership as far as business, because like you said, as a business owner, even as a manager within the business, right?
Yes.
You are indeed a leader. People are relying on you, counting on you. But that also requires certain characteristics that you got to deal with not being liked.
Yes, because leaders are not liked. I'll tell you that. And you know what you have to be okay with that. And it's because what we do is not a popularity contest. And we've learned in society that everybody should win or participate. You should get a participation award for just showing up.
Yep.
But you have a responsibility And so you can't really worry about what other people think about you. I'm reading a book now. It's called The Let Them Theory, and it's by Mel Robbins.
Okay.
And this book has been a game changer and shifter in like the way I see things, because she reminds you can't control what somebody else says, what somebody else does. So her premise is you just have to say, let them. And then, but you have a responsibility on the other side of let me. So it's like, let them say what they have to say. Let me continue to show up with integrity and compassion.
That's hard.
It is, but it takes it takes a lot of the stress off of you. I had to learn that everybody, especially when I worked in corporate America, when I worked in not-for-profit management, I had to learn that my people, I wanted my staff to like me.
Yeah.
I wanted them. I was like, I wanted to be the good person. One of my the person that was over me, she said, "Why you trying to be the good person? You're gonna be the one that's not here because you're trying to save everybody." And she said, "Do you want to stay here?" I was like, "Oh, I ain't gonna lose my job over some people, whether they liking me or not."
Right.
I was like, "Oh, okay, I got the message."
Okay.
I changed the way I didn't change who I was, but I changed the way I showed up.
Okay.
As a leader, I was like, I don't care if you don't like me. You still got to do your job.
Right.
It's your that's what we pay you for.
The problem with that in business and organizations is that we're so tied to their feelings. We're so tied to that emotion, okay? And it's that sweet spot or that area of trying to figure out how to be the best leader while also not creating any type of negative energy within the organization or the team. Because you're right, they don't have to like you per se, but it's a miserable environment for you to absolutely hate your leader, for your leader to make you feel miserable. So like, what's that like when you have to find that, that spot that works, that mix that works?
It comes with a lot of self-awareness.
Okay.
Because when you are aware of who you should be.
You should be.
But then again, I think people know when they not acting. I
don't think people know.
Some people know it works for them. It works for them. If they can act like they're the victim or like, I didn't know. You knew.
Yeah.
Especially if you are, we go back to that whole thing that everybody's not self-aware and having some awareness about who you are. But to be able to balance it, it requires you, one, to understand that it's not about you and it's not you that's leading.
Yeah.
And a very important part of the leadership styles that I teach and that is about understanding about being spiritually led, knowing that I'm called to lead, but I'm not leading by myself.
That's a whole
and I have to make sure that I'm representing who I said is running my life. And being able to balance that is when I show up authentically and with integrity and with compassion and humility, with some transparency.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people want you to be honest and they're like, just be honest with me, be transparent.
You don't want me to always be honest.
But it's how you frame it.
That's true. I've done better.
It's how you frame it. Because people, some people, they laugh. They're like, ask Dr. Dangerfield, she good with words. And it's like, it's not that I'm a BSer, but I'm a good wordsmith. But also with my work as a therapist, I've learned how to say things with people because I take into account what's the best way to deliver this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And knowing your people. Knowing your people, because you know who can take it
and who can't.
Who can take it straight. Like you can be straight, no chaser, very direct, and they be like, oh, thank you for the direct. Then you have some people that you like, you have to take a compliment, then put the correction in the middle, then compliment them again.
You gotta dress it up.
You gotta make them feel, make them feel at ease.
Yeah.
And that's what helps me be a safe leader. Is like, I'm very like, I'm gonna see you for who you are, and I'm gonna be very authentic and help you to be the best you can be. But I'm really one of those people is like, okay, I want you to be your best self, and I'm going to see you for your best self, and I'm going to hear you for your best self.
Yep. But see, this is the reason why I want us to talk more about leadership in business, because I literally was having a conversation with a business owner, and he was just, and I was talking about his relationships with clients. And I was talking about his need.
It's relational.
Yeah. I was talking about his need to expand a team because his business is flourishing, but he can't do it all by himself. No. And I understand you don't trust people. I'm like, okay, you need to find somebody you can train and do all of that. And so I was talking about some of the conflicts that he has had happen. And he was like, I am who I am. They're just going to have to take me to where. And I was like, no, no, you can't handle are you willing to jeopardize your entire business and what you built all because you so stuck in you know it's certain people you can't talk to like that. And I know naturally I'm a very like brute, direct person. But over the years, as I gotten older, I understand like not everybody can handle that. And it's ineffective for me when I'm trying to communicate something if I don't dress it in the way that works best for them.
Yes, because it's not about you.
It's not about me.
Let's go back. Let's talk about leadership is relational.
Yes.
And let's use this example of the 5 love languages.
Okay. All right.
Okay. The 5 love languages are based on relationship.
Yes.
So you have how different people give love and receive love.
Yes.
Okay, so say for instance, your love language is words of affirmation. The person you're with, their love language is physical touch. Okay, you gonna love the way that you like to be loved.
Exactly.
So you're gonna be like, oh, babe, you're doing a great job. I really appreciate you.
Giving those words of affirmation.
Because that's how you receive love.
Right.
But your partner is going to be like, you're not loving me because I like to be hugged. I like to be touched, that physical touch.
Yeah.
It's the same way in business.
Yeah, you're right.
Is you have to tap in and tune in to how a person loves to gives and receives feedback. It's about relationship. You're building relationship. It's that know, like, trust factor. So if you know that people, the people that you partner with, the people that's on your team, that if you know you have a person over there that they really need words of affirmation to do, because you just have to be attuned to how the person does you.
Okay.
Do they give you words of affirmation? If they giving you words of affirmation, 9 times out of 10, words of affirmation is what they, and you can go a long way once you get to know a person and how they give and receive appreciation.
Yeah.
If you learn that, you grow and you build your leadership, and your team will do anything for you. I remember I could probably say my first real job as a professional.
Okay.
This is after I graduated from college. I had jobs before then, but the one that I was a operations manager for a retail store.
Okay.
It was similar to, it wasn't Walmart, but it was similar to a Walmart or a Target. And what I had to learn how to do, I didn't know anything about being an operations manager. But my people, the people that worked in the back room, these 2 older ladies took me to the side and they said, hey, Miss Dangerfield, we'll show up for you if you show up for us. We need to know that you're willing to get in here and learn the job and do the job with us, and not just come in here telling us what to do. So part of the job was unloading trucks, or making sure that the merchandise was priced. They taught me how to do the job. Truck came in one day. It was like they got off at 3. Truck came in maybe at 2:30. I didn't want them to be impacted, so I was like, "Oh, what I need." That day I was dressed in a skirt. I took them shoes off. I got up on that thing, helped them unload that truck, so that when they came in the next day, the things will already be in place. But they told me, they said, if you work with us, we'll work with you.
Yeah.
So every time our regional manager or our district manager came in, I got high praise. Because my people took care of me,
right?
Because they could tell that I was in there with them,
right? But we gotta touch on a couple things, because from my perspective, I've always thought that that's how it should be done. Okay, throughout college, I was a sales manager. I worked at Sears outlet, then I was at Best Buy as a manager, and that's how I always chose to lead. Like, I'm showing up for y'all, and they always showed up for me. I didn't care what it was. There was no job too low for me.
Right.
If I gotta, clean the floors, or I'm wiping off appliances, and it's not necessarily my task or my job, I'm doing it. It has to be done.
Serving
right?
leadership.
Yeah. But see, there's a part of that when it comes to character and leadership that it's just required. You have to actually care about the people under you. Okay? You have to actually care. You have to want to observe and get to know their personality, to understand what's best fit for them. But are we taking the time in business? Are we taking the time as community leaders to actually get to know our people? Do we care enough? Or do we just feel like,
that's a good question.
Do what I say and it's gonna work. I don't have to like you. I don't have to know nothing about you. You might be married, got kids, whatever. I don't know nothing about you.
But does that work?
In my mind, it doesn't work. But people think it should.
Come on, but does it work? Have you seen it? Have you seen it be sustainable?
I haven't. I haven't witnessed big. Yeah, I haven't.
So it does not work.
Okay.
People think for a moment, but when your staff is turning over, or your partnerships or collaborations are not panning out, because people want to be seen, they want to be valued, and they want to be heard.
Yep.
I don't care what your job title is.
Yep.
But we live in a society where we have allowed culture to shift and change the way that we treat people.
That's true.
But because we live in this false reality, because reality TV is not
false reality.
It is. It's a false reality.
It is.
Because you think you watch this stuff on TV and think that it play out in real life.
No, and it doesn't.
And it does not. And it's like, now you know that if you in a restaurant and you throw a cup at somebody, that they gonna just not sit there, and they gonna jump over the table and beat you up. Come on, that's the reality.
That's reality.
But they got this fake reality where the camera people gonna stop you from.
In real life,
no.
In real life, there's not enough time for anybody to get between me and you.
Right,
I'm already on you.
And at the end of the day, somebody is probably gonna kiss some charges.
Yes.
So, but people will do more, as we both said. People will do more for you if they know that you care.
Yeah,
they know. Maya Angelou said it best. People don't care what you do. They want to know that you care for them.
Yeah.
That is just, they want to know. And that's important. As business owners, as entrepreneurs, we have to care for our clients. We have to care for them. They're spending their money with you.
Exactly.
You cannot act like it's not a relationship, because it is a relationship.
You are, because it is completely. We talked about self-awareness a little bit, but I want to segue into emotional intelligence, because I think a lot of what we're talking about requires that.
Oh, yes.
And if it wasn't for Bishop's book club, Mount Zion family, what up? If it wasn't for Bishop Walker's book club, there was a book, and I think it's called Emotional Intelligence 2.0, right? And I picked up that book and I was like, oh, wow, I thought I was emotionally intelligent, which I mean, I didn't do so bad, but there were just aspects of it that it just really put things into perspective for me. And I also learned that just because somebody can communicate their emotion effectively doesn't mean that they're emotionally intelligent if they're completely ignoring and avoiding what's being given to them. So emotional intelligence requires both the giving and the receiving end of that. So talk to me about that and how that plays in leadership.
Yeah, like we've been talking about, it's like you can be emotionally aware, but it requires self-awareness,
right?
Not only for yourself, and you can be self-aware about other people, but it's about reciprocity.
Yes.
And emotional intelligence is more than thinking up here in your head, because we're like, oh, we think we're emotionally aware,
right?
But then when somebody across from you voices something and you don't hear the emotion and the intent behind it, you're not aware of their emotions.
Yeah.
Or if you are afraid of emotions, or if you only tap into the top 4 emotions, then you're not emotionally aware.
Right.
And going back to the book, Let Them, Mel Robbins says something in the book. She said most people are stuck at 8 years old. Their emotional level is stuck at where they were at 8 years old.
Okay, in
and
what
it's
way?
Like children, they're 8-year-old children, because like what do children do? They throw fits. When they're feeling their feelings, they are big feelings, or they learn to suppress their feelings.
Yep.
And they grow up as adults, and so when adults suppress their feelings, that means probably around that 8-year-old, or they were told that they couldn't express their feelings.
Yeah.
That expressing their feelings was too much. But what you have to do is when somebody responds in a certain way, you have to say, that's an adult. They're in a big body, but they are 8-year-old
a childlike reaction.
And what it is, and what is that reaction? What is behind their reaction? So are they throwing? If they throwing a temper tantrum?
There's a lot of adults out here throwing temper tantrums.
If they throwing a temper tantrum, yeah, you let them throw that temper tantrum, and then you come back later and address it.
Yes.
Yep. Because you're like, okay, I'm gonna let you feel your feelings in this moment, as long as it's not doing harm to me.
Right.
But we're gonna come back and have a discussion about it, because I'm doing you an injustice by not addressing how you showed up in that moment when you were relating to me.
And that control is a part of emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Controlling your reaction to other people.
It's how you respond.
Yeah. Because I can't control what you do to me, but I can control my response.
How you respond, how you show up.
And in organizations and in business, and talking about leadership, I'm seeing some very retaliatory actions taking place in businesses right now, from the top down. Lacking the control, lacking the ability to be able to take a moment, think about, okay, how should I respond in this moment? Instead, people just escalate the situation. Okay, one of my clients is a conflict resolution specialist. Okay, Dawn Stone, she's incredible. Yes. The conflict chick. Okay. And I see what she's doing in these large organizations, because for me, the reason why I put forth so much effort in self-awareness and studying emotional intelligence and actually practicing it, not just reading it, but I actually go about it, right?
To practice it.
But I do that because solving problems is that's my thing.
Solving problems is all of us as entrepreneurs and business.
We're all solving problems.
We're all solving some problem.
Right.
We're a solution to somebody's problem.
But that's my focus. I don't have to be right. Like you said, you don't have to like me. How do we solve the problem?
Yes.
And so therefore, I will move however is necessary. I will work on myself. I will change the way in which I communicate or work with other people, all because I am solution based. But where is that with everybody else? I can't be the only person that's solution based. Here I am trying to get to, whatever achievement of a goal, and you just want to escalate the situation out of control. Like, what is it that we can do to be better leaders? What is it that we can do to have more self-awareness so that we can reach our goals in business and in success? Because we can't achieve that without doing the work, without having conversations like this. What do you recommend we do?
One, and just because I'm a therapist, don't think that I'm just saying this, but number one is get in therapy.
Yeah.
Therapy is a safe space where, for most of us as therapists, we model what it looks like to be in a healthy relationship.
Okay.
We model boundaries. And even though, people like, my therapist didn't contact me on Saturday when I left her a message at 5:00. She didn't contact me the next day. She didn't contact me until Monday. Boundary is after 5.
Yeah.
After 5, whatever the hours are, that's that's a stop for me. So I do business during a certain time. Or how do I communicate in relationship, a healthy relationship? So getting a therapist to help you model, learn how to model your reactions, to dig in deep to see where those core wounds are. Going back to like what I said, a lot of us emotionally, we're at a level of an 8-year-old child. So what were you taught about emotions and the expression of emotions? What get in and do some work around those woundings, because sometimes we don't realize that we're responding out of a trauma response. And being able to heal through that trauma of like, the reason why I respond that way is because when I was a child, my parental person either was not there for me or they yelled at me to get things done. But other piece is having accountability. Get you some people that's going to hold you accountable, that you trust their feedback. That what they're going to say to you is not to harm you, but for you to grow and be a better person.
Exactly.
Being able to have that team of people around you, people that will be like, hey, girl, you need to, that wasn't right.
They'll check you.
They'll be like, all right, then when you said that, that you should have handled that a little bit better.
But they do so with love.
They're doing it
because they want
because
you to
they're
be better.
They're not trying to harm you. Because I have a person that she's one of my business friends. We do podcasts together. But like the other day we were talking and I was laughing and I was like, I need somebody to hold me accountable about something. So she said, you giving me permission?
Okay.
I said, yeah. I said, seriously, I need you to call me out when I'm not doing what I need to be doing. She said, you give me permission? I said, yes. I said, I trust you enough that I know that if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do and you say, hey girl, hey friend,
that she's sincere.
I need to, that she's not doing it to harm me. And that's why I'm so passionate about creating safe leaders, because I want people to be able to show up and feel safe when they interacting with people in the community, people in organizations, businesses, other entrepreneurs. I want people to feel safe with you.
I'm going to continue to have these conversations in business and entrepreneurship and just organizational leadership in general, because there's a lot to it, and everything that you've said today makes me realize we're such a talented people. Black people specifically, we are so talented.
We are.
Black businesses, I think we have so much potential, but we lack some of the core things.
The core skills, those core, it's people skills.
Yeah.
We know how to do our jobs.
Yeah.
We can run business, we can do the task. It's those people skills, those ingrained things inside of us that we need to shore up.
Yep. And I think that I mean, as great as it is, if your business is growing financially, great. That's
Mhm.
amazing, right? If you're able to expand, that's amazing, right?
But if you
Whatever it is
suck
that
as
you're
a
achieving. But if you're a terrible leader, you're not going to be a sustainable business.
No.
I'm about growth and sustainability.
Yes.
Growth and I'm a sales operation strategist because that's what I do in the corporate world. Okay. I use my analytical skills to help these large companies grow. And I want to bring that into small business.
Yes.
I want to bring that into entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, most talented people out here. They're doing everything themselves. Amazing. But then they lack the core values. And so years later, you're like, man, what happened to such and such? They had that wonderful business. They opened a restaurant or they did whatever. Yeah. And then you're starting to see it didn't last.
Yeah. And you said something that's very, very key. And I think it's something that holds people up. You said lack those core values. You need to know your values.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your values are those principles that you will die on the hill for. So if you go into an arena and have to fight, those are things that you're going to stand on. So I always tell people, write down your core values and define them.
Yep.
Not from what Webster says, really what it means to you.
What it means to you. Yeah.
And that's what you stand on.
And don't bend on it.
And don't bend on them.
But then things happen in life, right? And then people end up shifting and bending on, well, maybe, and that's the sustainability part. That's why leadership is so important. I want people to have these values. I want people to have self-awareness. I want people to be emotionally intelligent and to understand how important that is in business.
Yes, because it's about relationships.
Exactly. That's all business is.
It's relationship. You just said it.
Because people think business is just $1. It's the trade for the money. No, it's a barter with money. It's not. It's relationship.
The know, like, and trust factor. That's why people buy from you.
Exactly.
That's why people buy.
But we're going against the grain by having this conversation and saying that business is about relationships, because that's not what's being promoted. That's not what you're going to hear on social media.
No.
Not even in some of the books that I read. That's not what you're either.
Unless you're reading a book about emotional intelligence.
Right. Right. But people don't tie it to business. You literally have to have someone in business or leadership of whatever organization that at the top, they understand the importance of it.
Because it flows down.
Exactly.
Yeah. Leadership flow. Like if the leadership at the top is bad, down at the bottom, it's going to be bad.
I thought about something you were talking about earlier, and I thought about people don't quit a job because of the company. It's always due to horrible leadership.
Yes, that's why people leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
And we know that, but yet still
people stay for relationship.
Exactly.
People stay, they will stay at a company because they have relationships with people.
I'm gonna start interchanging my words of business to relationship more and more, especially in conversation with people, to get them to connect the dots so that when they think of business, they think of relationship.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Think about how you show up in your relationships.
Yeah.
So if you show up ratty in your relationship, you showing up ratty in your business.
Yeah. Yeah. This is good stuff. I appreciate you for this. Completely.
Well, thank you for having a conversation.
Yeah. And I want us to promote this more. I want us to be a safe space to have conversations like this with no judgment. Please leave some comments and let me know how you feel as far as your leadership development, your self-awareness. Definitely leave a comment if you want any advice on how you can start to improve your leadership skills. Dr. Lacrecia Dangerfield, I'll make sure she'll see some of your comments and she can give you some steps on what to do and what to take. Anything else before we go? Anything that you have going on? Anything insightful that you feel like we haven't touched on that we really need to know to be better leaders?
What I share with other people is lead from your best self. And the only way that you can lead from your best self is to know who you are. Yeah. And that takes getting quiet. Because we got so many distractions, but get quiet and listen to that still small voice inside of you that tells you who you are, and get very clear about that. And that's what you stand on that.
Okay, can I add one little part in that? If you are not your best self in the moment, recognize that. There's no shame attached to it.
Not at all.
And it's okay to say that at this moment, I'm not fit to be a leader.
Or because that shows up better for people if you're honest and transparent, then you're leading from a wounded place and not doing anything about it.
Right.
And so what people want to know is that you that you want to do better.
Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, they want to know that you want to do better, and leaders,
show the effort. Yeah.
As leaders, sometimes we don't want to ask for help.
No,
ask for help.
No, there's shame or embarrassment that comes to that. It makes us feel like we can't do the job, like we're
that doesn't make
ill-equipped.
That doesn't make you a weak person.
Yeah.
And being vulnerable does not make you weak. It actually is a sign of strength.
I think it's a sign of strength. Completely. Listen, we could talk about this all day. We're gonna have to have another segment of this too, and hopefully really start touching people and getting them to understand the significance of leadership in every area, not just in business, because this is business vibes only, but not just in business, but in every aspect of life.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having
appreciate you. Please like and subscribe. Please follow Dr. Dangerfield. I will have her social information in the description. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Business Vibes Only. Let's talk business later.